Hi, this is Jim Craig with Planet of Mystery Productions, and this is my first PixInsight related tutorial. There are a lot of other much better tutorials out there, for example, by Adam Block, but this is one doing something I hadn't seen anyone else do. Recently, Franklin Marek of Seti Astro released a really great plugin for PixInsight called What's in My Image, and he uses it for annotation. Because as I looked through my not great image of M51 here, I noticed that there were some other galaxies in the distance. For example, there are a couple here. There's one over here. You can follow my cursor. A couple up here. But there are galaxies all over this image. So I wanted to know what galaxies were there. And when I took it to astrometry.net, it pulled out a few of them, but not very many. It's not really designed for annotation. That website is designed more for plate solving, so you know where your telescope was pointing when you took the image, uh, what the center, right ascension, and declination are. Now, part of my quest was to find out the most distant object I'd ever photographed. So this starts by assuming you know how to install a plugin, and I will include all the links to the websites I talk about down below. But if you look here, the first place you're going to go is to Franklin Marek's Seti Astro website, and you can see the address here. Again, I'm going to put the link below. But scroll down on the page until you get to the What's My Image script, and you can click here to get the image. You can click on, or to get the file, you can click here. It's going to be a zip file. You'll have to unzip it and install it. And again, I have the feeling by the time you've gotten this much into PixInsight, you know how to install a script or a plugin. And let's go back to my image. This also assumes that you have done plate solving on this, so you have an astrometric solution. If not, then you can go up into script, go into image analysis, image solver. Well, I'll just run it again. I ran it earlier. It actually knows where my image is when it was taken. You do search and M51, search, and that's what I'm looking for. And tell it to solve it. It only takes a couple moments for it to solve. So it's plate solved. There's an astrometric solution. So then you're going to go up to script. And once you've installed it under Seti Astro, you have what's in my image. Now there are a couple little things that you have to do before you run this. And that is click somewhere in the image or shift click somewhere in the image. So hold down shift, click, and draw out a circle. Now with what I'm about to do, how large your circle is really isn't that important. Um, if you just run the query Simbad, it will show you everything that's inside the circle. And there's a lot of stuff. It'll tell you what it is, X-ray source, galaxy, star. There's a lot of information in there. But I don't want all of that. I don't want to have to search through, what is it? It says 500 objects. I want to look for galaxies. So instead, I'm going to go up to advanced search. I'm going to scroll down here until I find galaxy. There it is at the bottom. Oops, I just want galaxy. I'm going to tell it to confirm the selection, and I'm going to tell it to query Simbad over the entire image. Now, some of the things will actually be outside the image because it assumes your image is square, which obviously it's not. But let's do query Simbad. You can see that working over here. It found 143 different objects. And then you can scroll around and found that galaxy. And if I click on it, if I were to go through my list here, it would tell me what it is. I actually turn on the show object name and it gets a little busy, but that's IC4277. Now, if you come down in your list, I sort it by name. I pull that out so I can read it. There's IC, double click on it. Well, that's not going to work there. Let me try it with my keypad here. And it tells me some information. But one thing it doesn't tell me is its radial velocity. That's how fast it's moving away from us, or relative to us. And radial velocity can tell you a lot of things, including the distance to a galaxy. So what we're going to do is we're going to search through until we find things that we can find their radial velocity, because some of that data does have radial velocity. And I found one here called 2xmm, and it's got a really long J1329, so 132900, so I have to scroll up a little bit more. Oops, not that much. Where was it again? Okay. Oh, there it is. Now I'm going to double click on it. And there you see radial velocity, and redshift. If you take this radial velocity, that's in kilometers per second, we're going to right click and copy that. We're going to go to another website. And again, I'll have the link to this below. The Hubble Law Distance Calculator. And you can plug in the speed in kilometers per second. So we're going to right click and paste. And that tells us how many light years away. It's over 4 billion light years away. And I was pretty pleased with that result because that's a fairly distant object. Now, one thing you want to do is you want to make sure that there's actually something there. So what I do to make sure that there's actually an object there is I find that object. You can see right there's the little green dot for it. I find that object, and then I'll toggle the markers, and you can see the spot remains there. So I actually got that image. That little tiny dot there is a galaxy. Now, if you toggle the markers and there's nothing there, you didn't get an image of it. I found several places where, well, like you can see down here, it says there's an object there. It says there's two objects like right there together, and I can't see either one of them, so I would not take credit. I might take credit for these two because those you can see, and there are circles around them. But I realized that galaxies aren't the farthest objects that can be seen. So I'm going to clear the selections, and I'm going to scroll up and look for quasars. Now I have to tell it quasar, confirm my selection, and query Simbad for the entire image, and it found 74 quasars. So we're going to scroll. Let's take a look at this one here. Okay. See if I can double click. Sometimes you can double click on this and it will bring up that page. Sometimes it won't. This time it did. Okay, it tells me the radial velocity right there. And that's considerably faster than the other object. So we're going to copy. Let's go back to our Hubble distance calculator and plug that number in. Now we're looking at 11.7 billion light years away. That is very distant. It's still not the most distant object that I have found. But let's go back and make sure. Is there something we can see there? Nope, you can't see it. So I can't make that a confirmed object. So we're going to come down here, and there's one there. And you can see over here, this warning. That means if I double click on it, it won't come up. So I actually have to go down through my list. I'm going to zoom in, and when you zoom in, sometimes it messes up where you're looking. So let's go back there again. Okay, 132848.1. 13284.17, excuse me. And then, all right, let's double click there. Radial velocity, copy that, go to the other site, paste it in. That's 10.6 million or billion light years away. Let's do our toggle to make sure that we can see that there is something there. Yeah, you can see it. It's there. So now we've got something over 10 billion light years away. But you'll notice right next to it, there's another little dot, and I'm going to try to zoom in again. Let's toggle those markers and get back there. I want to zoom in almost as much as I can. And again, see it just very faint, but it is still there. It's 1382837, which fortunately is right there. I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to take that radial velocity. It looks to be a little bit faster than the other one. I'm going to plug that into our calculator. Let's round it off. That's 12.5 billion light years away. And that's a fair distance. By the way, if you look at that velocity, I calculated it. That comes to 89.7% the speed of light. That's how fast away. So this is the farthest and fastest object that I have ever measured. And again, we're going to toggle that marker. It's not much there, but you can see it there. And if I were to do a little bit of tweaking on the contrast and that sort of thing, you'd be able to see it a little bit more. This is not a fully processed image. But that's how you can measure distances to objects you find in your astrophotos. And if you find something that's farther away, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you like what you saw here, give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Again, this is Jim Craig with Planet of Mystery Astronomy. I keep saying astronomy. It's Planet of Mystery Productions. Uh, and I hope to see you again sometime in the future. Keep looking up.